Be the right club. Be the right club today.
Yes! Johnny, that's better than most. How about in? That is better than most. Better than most!
Expect anything different?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the No Laying Up podcast, the No Laying Up live show. My name is DJ Solly. Congratulations, my man. It's Ryder Cup week. We made it. How are you?
I'm okay. I'm anxious. I'm nervous. I'm excited. I'm all of the above. I'm not up at Bethpage just yet. I'll be jumping on a flight here tomorrow. I've been doing all I can at home, though, to prepare for this, to get ready, to simulate the environment. And I've decided to take on exactly what the Europeans have done. We're using the VR glasses to get ready for the environment, to simulate it. So if that's all right with you guys, I'm going to do the show like this today.
Yeah, I think that's great. I love that. Guy, I'm sure his Apple Vision Pro is sitting just off screen. Of course, that's the biggest Randy we got. Randy, how are you, my man?
I'm great. I'm looking forward. I am looking forward to the Ryder Cup. It's finally here. You know, we've talked about it so much. We're going to get into what has us most excited. But yeah, I listen. I don't know who I'm going to root for yet. I blew TC's mind with that right before we started.
Wait. I thought you were like a ride or die. You were on the squad in perpetuity.
I thought so too, TC. Listen.
That likable US squad is really
of course, the fourth voice you hear is that of Turncoat Tron.
He never needs introduced.
Lifelong European fan who has faulted. He splashed into the pool before he was introed. Tron, how are you, my man?
I'm great. I'm still buzzing from. I thought it was a little bit early to put out that video that the European team put out honoring all of the great men who have won on foreign soil before, and juxtaposing that
those
with
guys anymore. We can't pull over any. We've already honored them so much. I don't know if we can keep honoring these guys.
But just generally speaking, juxtaposing that with everything that the fever pitch that the U.S. side has been on social media, I think I've taken the right approach this year to the Ryder Cup, where I'm not getting like just bowled over by that stuff here the first Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and then I'm actually, by the time Friday rolls around, I'm not going to be wiped out. I'm going to be excited on the upswing.
I'm with you. That's exactly how I feel. I kind of had that first tinge this morning of like, you know what, the Ryder Cup's this. I'm going to watch the Ryder Cup. I can't wait for that. I'm really glad that's going on this week. Solly, of course, is heading up to Bethpage Black. Wednesday?
I'm heading up on Wednesday. Yes. Can I just say, Neil rocked this one earlier privately, but I'm going to steal it right now. That he referred to the European video strategy as the Mumford & Sons release plan, and that got me really good. I swear I'd seen that video that came out. I think I've already seen that one. I think that's the exact same. They might just be using AI to regenerate this at this point. And listen, I'm here for like 51 weeks a year to do the glazing, to like appreciate all the things that they do. And when Ryder Cup week rolls around, I'm just like, man, fuck these guys. All right, come on. Come on. Well, these guys need humbled a little bit. They need beaten. It's got to happen. We got to make sure these guys go home with an L. I'm sorry.
Randy, question for you.
Please.
You're wearing a salmon colored hoodie, which is, I was assuming that you were wearing that to honor one of the previous, what was the 87 team?
I think 87 or 88. I forget what they said on the, they were honoring. They're always honoring something, which I do dig. They have a whole run of show of who they're honoring at all times. It's killer.
Can't honor any harder than
we just can't honor like these.
There's super H.
Yeah, we're saturated with just honor here. It's crazy. Sorry, Randy.
Would
you like to respond about your salmon sweatshirt?
I will definitively say I am not also honoring anybody with this clothing choice. This was top of my clean clothes pile in my closet. TC.
A great transition to say that. Shout out to our friends at Rhoback Activewear. You know how much we love Rhoback. Crisp polos, subtle dog logo, most comfortable hoodies on the planet. You see a lot of those on the screen right now. We have teamed up with Rhoback and Erin Hills to give you a shot at a bucket list golf experience. You and a friend will join 2 members of the NLU crew.
Where they should have hosted the Ryder Cup.
Unforgettable round. I agree with that. Of championship golf at Erin Hills. Your prize is said round of golf with 2 members of NLU at Erin Hills. A one-night stay in Erin Hills world-class cottages, a travel credit to get you there, $1,000 in Rhoback gear to look and feel your best on the course. Go to rhoback.com/NLU to enter. It takes 30 seconds. You might end up teeing up with some of us on one of the top golf courses in the world while enjoying some fantastic gear as well. Shout out to our friends at Rhoback, rhoback.com/NLU to enter.
Guys, let's do a little bit of procedural, just information passing here before we get too deep into it. If anybody's been living under a rock, somehow missed the 558 times we've mentioned the Ryder Cup, maybe you're pacing yourself as well, TC. Maybe you're not trying to dive in quite yet. Let's just go through a little bit of information here. Team USA, the automatic qualifiers, of course, Scotty Scheffler, Xander Schauffele, Russell Henley, JJ Spawn, Harris English, kind of forgot he was on the team, and Bryson DeChambeau, which makes your captain's picks Justin Thomas, Colin Morikawa, Ben Griffin. What was it, TC?
Benny Bombs.
Benjamin Bombs?
No, Benny Boom.
Benny Boom.
Sorry.
Benjamin
Booms.
Cameron Young, Patrick Cantlay, and Sam Burns, of course, captained by Solly's boy, Keegan Bradley. Over on Team Europe, your auto qualifiers, Rory McIlroy, probably no surprise there. Tommy Fleetwood, Robert McIntyre, Justin Rose, Tyrrell Hatton, Rasmus Højgaard. Your captain's picks, Victor Hovland, Sepp Straka, Ryder Cup lock, Ludwig Oberg, Shane Lowry, Matt Fitzpatrick. Interested to talk about him as we get into it. And John Ram, captained by Luke Donald again for the second time. The format, of course, we're going to start with foursomes. Randy, that's the other name for alternate shot. Foursomes on Friday morning. So both Friday and Saturday will be foursomes in the morning, 4 balls in the afternoon. That kicks off at 7:10 a.m. Eastern time, 6:10 here in the great state of Wisconsin. Ooh. Randy, set your alarm for 5:10 out there in Denver on Friday morning. 12 singles matches, of course, on Sunday. Europe needs 14 to retain, and the U.S. needs 14.5 to win outright. So our current odds, of course, via the FanDuel Sportsbook, USA is -155. Europe is +170. A lot of home game models, I believe, reflected in those odds. The tie, I think, was +1,000, I believe. And
it would be retained in the USA.
It would be retained in the USA. That's
by
right.
Europe.
So, first question, I just, how are you feeling about those odds?
That is trending towards the U.S. side, which of course makes me nervous.
U.S. is getting bigger, -145 yesterday. It
is getting a bit bigger. But I mean, you know what I'm going to do? I'm
the
going
hype videos are moving the line.
I'm going to crunch the numbers. I guess there was offsetting hype videos that I guess tilted in their favor. Maybe the U.S. is up 1-0. They're considering them up 1-0 with the.
Maybe some of the U.S. team is throwing some of their stipend and their charitable contributions towards.
We can talk about some of that.
It on themselves.
Can I throw some numbers at you, Deej? People might sit in there be wondering, like, oh, why start with foursomes? The U.S. is terrible at foursomes, of course. The U.S. is not terrible at foursomes at home, okay? And in the last 2 Ryder Cups, the U.S. has scored 11.5 out of 16 points in foursomes to Europe's 4.5. In the last 3, they have scored 16.5 to Europe's 7.5. And in the last 4, it is 21-11. It has been the home team dominates foursomes in this event. They are worse on the road than they are good at home. But especially in the last 2 Ryder Cups, they've been excellent in that format. They are hoping for a repeat of that.
Anyone want to posit a theory on why that is?
I mean, I guess that's Shane Ryan did a video on this for Golf Digest that I just watched, and there was not really a definitive answer into that, other than like that seems to be where the home field advantage bucks. It's an uncomfortable format for people in an uncomfortable environment, and I guess that uncomfortable nature is where it's also where the home team can exacerbate advantages in setting up the golf course. Is where I don't know if the data would support like that big of a gap, but there is some sort of an advantage that comes with being able to manipulate who you send off the odds, who you send off the evens. Eduardo Molinari talked about in 2023 about making the golf course set up for approach shots to be hit within a specific distance, right? And that is a luxury that you're given a little bit on the home side, maybe a bit too much, but that's my best approximation. But I would guess over time, over the next decade, I don't think that gap's going to be quite as big. I think it's a little bit of an outlier to say that that the home teams have dominated it that much.
In the pressers yesterday, they were saying how it's definitely more out of the hands of the captains week of now, right? Like they're moving more towards a more neutral setup or just more. How does that work even solidly with Kerry Haig versus the DP World Tour? Is that all on the PGA of America to set it up, or is there a setup committee?
It is a setup committee. It is allegedly a neutral committee that sets it up, right? It is not. I mean, there was, if you go back to 2008, Paul Azinger and they were cutting down tree limbs in practice rounds because it was getting
JB Holmes
in JB Holmes' way, and Hayes, there's still, I think in general, the idea of are we growing the rough up? Or are we shaving it down in advance is up to the captains. But as we've seen, I know there were a lot of issues with pins and lack of rough at Hazeltine, right? The U.S. kind of dominated that setup in particular because of the profile of that team. As time has gone on, and that's been 9 years since that, the U.S. team and the European team makeup of the team is a lot more similar than it is different these days. So it's not as simple as U.S. is bombers. Let's cut the rough down. Let's play it all the way back, and let's make this a bomb and gouge contest because – there's JJ Spawn, there's Colin Morikawa, there's Russell Henley, and go over on the European side. You have Rory McIlroy, you have Ludwig, you have. It's just a lot closer. The U.S. will have an advantage off the tee, but it is a slight advantage. It's something I forget what the actual number is right now. They're saying 0.12 strokes better per round off the tee. That doesn't sound like a lot, but you add that up over 28 matches, and it does make up several shots that the U.S. on paper will have as an advantage.
Okay. So the setup committee sounds like the Congressional Budget Office. It's supposed to be a kind of a nonpartisan thing.
Yeah, I don't think the executive orders get pushed through quite as fast, these days. But
I feel like one of the things that always I don't know. I need to crunch the numbers on this, and also I feel like Scotty's numbers are probably just almost an outlier. Team USA.
We should rerun all of the U.S. numbers without Scotty.
Truly, because that's where I'm where you're saying you're talking about the driving advantage. I'm well, he gains so many strokes off the tee. He's literally the best driver in the world, probably, when you add up strokes gained. What
if so much of their advantage is rolled up into one guy that
and that's where
Europe
I was
actually has a big advantage.
I was kind of going to say that I feel like Europe, I don't know if it's totally a distance advantage, but it feels at least neutral. And what always makes me laugh is when it's you go back to Hazeltine, and it's well, they're just going to cut down all the rough because the U.S. is just bombers, And now it's Europe, they really bomb it too. So I think we're just going to cut down the rough because then if you grew it up, it would give I don't know. It's almost feels like competing logic, answering the same question in two different ways. I don't know if that made any sense, but it feels like you're saying the same thing to answer two opposite questions. And it's always in the US, we're just going to cut down the rough. It's I think the teams have changed a lot. So shouldn't the course setup change? But maybe not.
Shouldn't the course setup just be set up for good match play, a bunch of birdies and shit?
Yeah.
That would be the best for the that's the thing. The home field advantage has just gotten out of control over the last 5 years. That's why I'm wondering, are we going to get a close Ryder Cup this go around? I hope we do. I've been to every one since Hazeltine, and none of them have even sniffed being close come Sunday. It's not all set up, I don't think, but that's got to be a factor. And I don't know the exact story of when things started to evolve, but I do know it's not as extreme as it maybe was 9 years ago.
Well, I want to get into some more core stuff later, but before we do, Randy, I'm going to start with you here. I got a couple of discussion questions that I wanted to launch to the group. The first one here, what question are you most looking forward to seeing answered this week at the Ryder Cup?
This is a great question. I actually thought about this a lot, and I went a lot of different directions, but here's where I landed, and I'm being sincere when I say this. Is anybody going to get arrested? Players, caddies, captains, how crazy is this atmosphere?
PGA of America officials
going to be? Because we've heard for years now. Oh my God, that Ryder Cup at Bethpage Black just well. Oh my God. And listen, the temperature,
Be like
I
the
think
purge out there, right?
the temperature in this event has been creeping up and up. Of course, you had Kessler punching a fan.
I was gonna say that was President's Cup.
That was President's Cup.
Yeah, that was in Melbourne. Yeah.
Okay. I think we're headed. There could be some type of capital S situation this week. And so I guess my question that I can't wait to see answered is like, come Sunday night when everything's done and dusted, are we going to be having a conversation around, whoa, we got to get this thing like back under control? Like, how did all of this kind of break contain?
Randy, I'm going to go the other way there. Because I think all we've heard about is Bethpage, New York, this and that. I think the tickets were so expensive, and so much of this is just tied up in hospitality. And the grandstands, they look big and garish, and like I think this event's probably gotten too big, if we're being honest. But it just seems like some of that hooliganism or the really, really rough and tumble New York, Long Island side, I don't know how many of those people are actually going to be there.
Yeah.
Am I off there?
It's a fair point. I don't know the answer to that. Ticket prices are dropping as it gets closer. Don't know if, and I hate to like make it that much of a correlation of just like the cheaper the ticket, the more rowdy the crowd is going to be. But like it profiles that in some way. Like a lot of the early ticket sales were gobbled up by, hospitality, it's a big corporate retreat as of the way it was set up, intentionally or not. So there's an element to what you're talking about there. And I don't know if that bridges into the pay for play discussion as well. Cause I think there are, that's going to, the European press has made it quite clear they're going to be digging into this one with every single press conference question that they possibly get the opportunity.
And the U.S. keeps giving them all sorts of ammo.
Can we let's do that now here.
Sure.
So for the first time, right? Players will be paid on the U.S. side.
Since 99, players have gotten a $200,000 grant to a charity of their choice. This is the first year that charitable amount is now up to $300K plus a $200K stipend that they're free to do whatever they want with.
Just to cover expenses,
I mean, flying your whole team out there.
Nobody's going broke.
It could be a lot of things. Now, do I think that the U.S. has just on a silver platter given the European team a narrative to run with? All of the media, like, is this a silly endeavor? 100%. Avoidable? Yes. I agree with all of those things. At the same time, I think there's something to be said for the general spirit of all of these other people, a lot of people involved here, like with how big of a corporate retreat this thing has turned into. Like, it's just some not sitting great with players that like they're some of the only ones not getting paid for it, right? I don't know the distribution of it. Is everybody giving away their $200K stipend? Is everybody donating? I don't know. Is it appear greedy from the outset? Yes. I think it's just the general like thought is like, hey, here's some recognition that it's pennies on what the PGA of America and the European Tour DP World Tour make on this event. But it's not a PGA Tour event. It's not the organization that these guys like play for week in and week out.
PGA Tour does get a cut of the revenues, though.
PGA Tour does get a cut of the revenues, and that is get distributed through player purses and goes into the coffers of the PGA Tour as well. And it's not an insignificant part of the revenue as well, to your point, TC. But they're not representing their tour like the Europeans are with the DP World Tour. So that's the spirit behind it. Is it avoidable? 100%. It's not. The conversation's not going away. Is it an unnecessary distraction? Yes. And I'm it's not fun, but it's not going anewhere clearly.
That Randy, said, hold on, because I think Randy's gonna have like the best takes.
Well, here. Randy was saying on Slack they should get paid more. I thought was that your take, Randy, or am I misremembering that? Sorry, go ahead, TC.
Well, I was gonna say that said, like, I have no problem with them getting money for charity, them getting stipend to pay, whatever. That's fine. I just laugh really hard at the inability to like foresee these questions, and then for Keegan to treat it like it's a
knew you were going to ask me that.
Of like he just clammed up and got so uncomfortable, and he's like, you know what, like guys are donating to charity, and it's a really private matter which charity they're doing. Like half of them are probably donating to their charitable foundation, which some of those charitable foundations, we have no idea what that charity does, right? Like there's
go to the developers of that
looks into
Xander app, maybe.
Yeah, but yeah, like I guess there was an SUV that nobody can figure out like where that went with Xander. Now Xander doesn't own a car, I guess too. Like friends from Avis all the time, but
there's 5 spider webs.
But all of that said, like it's so funny because it's like watching a car crash in slow motion of he just can't say, oh yeah, like like Sam Burns really into the first tee, gave his money to the first tee, or hey, you know what, Russell Henley's a Wounded Warrior guy, or he hosts an AJGA event. Like, wouldn't you want to like put forth what you're supporting?
That seems like a big part of donating to charity, but I guess everybody approaches it different. A lot of people like to give anonymously. I think there's a whole
I'm totally
Curb Your
fine with giving
Enthusiasm episode about
but
that.
But you're not
giving
giving it like
totally.
It's on the record that you're giving $300K to charity, or you are directing $300K from the PGA of America to the charity of your choice. Wouldn't you want to like stand for something and be like, hey, here's the charity of my choice. These guys are doing fucking awesome stuff.
If you're a big fan of mine, consider supporting this charity. Yeah, I agree. Randy, what do you got?
Well, I was going to flip it back to TC. What do you make of Luke Donald and the Europeans not getting paid? Because I will say,
not giving to charity, may I mind?
And not giving to charity. Are they the bad guys? Because in other sports, like guys get extra checks for playoffs and Super Bowl. Like, so I guess I'm not as rubbed the wrong way for not paying guys. And I'm almost curious, like if Team Europe's like, well, what the hell?
I think they're using it as a little bit of a cudgel of like,
totally.
So we're going to stake out the higher ground. I don't blame them for that either. I think beyond that as well, they do have more of a wherewithal where this event subsidizes their entire tour.
Right.
With the DP World Tour that like isn't flush with cash. So I do think that they, a lot, I think they have a lot more allegiance and loyalty to the DP World Tour and all of that stuff. And I think that paying it forward and floating that. Yeah. Great comment there. Euro's not supporting the Jupiter community is good. But like, I don't know. I think Randy on that point too, there's it just seems like the US they've just like, this has been an issue for so long and they've figured out how to make it even worse. Right.
But also point out there's some generational bag getters on the European side. There's four future captains that all got the live money instead of like doing the whole, this just means more Ryder Cup thing. I would pay to play in this thing. Like what their active captain left and went to live to get money on the side. So like, again, we don't have to paint this entire side as just heroically not taking.
Yeah, but they're like,
and I was going to say they all love the DP World Tour, except when they actually have to play on it week to week.
All I'm saying is
they should make one of those Instagram videos about all the captains that left.
It just seems like they're fighting over dollars.
There's only been 4 captains that were removed their name.
What if they gave money to everybody that they're honoring? Solly, what if they said, hey, you know what? We're going to give a bunch of money to the 87 team because these great men, and then the next day we're going to give
Are they
money.
doing that?
No, they're not. But how does it work too with caddies? How do caddies get paid? Do they get a stipend, or do they get paid by the player?
They get paid by
PGA America,
yeah.
Or the DP World Tour, or whoever.
Because I don't think I'd give the full $200K to charity. I'd probably say, hey, you know what? Like, caddy wise, here's $50K. You know what I mean? Like, thanks for helping me get here. Thanks for all the bullshit that you're gonna have to deal with this week. Especially if you're I don't know. That's just. Like,
or if you're Cantlay, you slide $50K to Joe the Show and be like, you go create this stuff. Like, you go do it again.
Involve yourself, my man.
Seems like you guys are coming around on Joe the Show.
Solly rewatched it. He said it back through the other night. It's like, man, when you watch that crane angle or whatever, like the high angle, the all 22, it's like, dude, that's
pretty indefensible.
He looks like he's in there trying to take a charge. Like he is in there, man. It's a bad look.
Another revisionist thing that's already starting to happen this week is this whole like, none of our fans shout anything at the Americans, when they're over, and we're getting all this. 10,000 people were waving their hats at Cantlay based on at minimum an incomplete report on the hat thing. So like, let's just agree it happens on both sides. Is it going to be a little turned up this week? 100%. But like, let's just not pretend.
All I'm saying on the pay stuff is I do think the PGA of America is different from the DP World Tour. That at least has a connection to these guys and all of that. The PGA of America is like they're so tertiary in all of this in the golf world, and yet they run 2 of the 5 biggest events in the game, and they're floating their entire organization that by their own members' accounts like is doing a horrible job actually growing and promoting the growth of the game. I don't know. I just, that's where I struggle. That's where I'm like, you know what? Cantlay, Xander, you guys like take it to the PGA of America.
I think the argument against that though is just the fact that so many, like 20% or something, I hope I have that right, of the revenues go to the PGA Tour. Like they pay a fee, essentially a lease fee to the PGA Tour. Now it doesn't go to those 12 players. It goes to the entire tour. Shout out Lonto Griffin. But like that, so that's the other side of it is the players that I don't agree with is like, hey, you're kind of doing this on behalf of your tour. And it's not really about you, whether or not you played in this. Like there would probably be a very similar amount of fans in the crowd. Like if we're being honest, a lot of this money should go to the estate of the great man Seve. Like truly, if we're looking for like the core of what drove a lot of this.
Now we're talking.
Now we can bring people.
They
together.
should. Solly, when you get there on Friday morning, you should pass the hat in the grandstands. Just raising money for the great man Seve. Kick in what you can. All right, getting back to the question. You like that idea, Randy? Getting back to the question, I was fishing in a very similar pond to you guys. My question that stuck out to me was just, are we on the edge? And I mean that big picture on the Ryder Cup. Is the hype going to meet, or is the reality going to meet the hype? You know, this is one of those that I don't know. It could be another home blowout, and it could be everybody kind of standing around with a bunch of merch, and you know the result is not really in question past about 1 o'clock on Sunday. But I don't know. It's set up to be, it could easily be the best one ever as well. The teams are evenly matched. The venue, I think, is going to be really great. I think the crowds are going to be great. So I could see it go either way, but we kind of covered that already. So I want to pivot the conversation and say the answer to my question I'm looking for is just what is Bryson going to do, and what are they going to do with Bryson? And I think you guys take that any direction that you want if you have anything top of mind. But is he going to play foursomes? What is he going to do on the first tee? Just all of it. Solly, you're nodding your head. What you go first?
First one out. Pair with Cameron Young. Ship it towards the green on one. Get the crowd in. Like, come on. If one thing Keegan knows, it's how to play to the crowd. Like he's gonna a fair amount of his decisions
to you
in the right way. Like I think you absolutely play Bryson in foursomes. Like you can exacerbate his distance advantage. Like the data is going to tell you that the longer players should go off the first tee. I think we're going to get Rory Fleetwood and Bryson Cam Young for the first match. I think off the jump and just absolutely just ship it and go for it.
Do you think the Europeans would send out Rory first? And I don't know. I feel like sustaining that level of energy of, do you want to,
I think Rory,
you're going to get that bump. I know Rory's going to want to,
dude,
but also Rory had that whole thing about like, normally I go out third in singles last time, and hey, we knew that they were going to send out Cantlay because Zach Johnson's a fucking idiot. Like we knew exactly where they were going to send everybody out, because like that's truly how simplistic he is. I don't know. I think Rory is just like absolutely. I think you send out Bryson first and have him drive the first green.
Which is going to be hard at 7-0, whatever it's going to be. That's a tough time to do that. But I still think you don't have to drive the green. Just ship it over the corner, and everyone's going to go nuts. And he's going to Happy Gilmore off the first tee box and ride the bull, and you're off and running. Like they got to get off the bus quick, and they need the energy quick.
I really loved, Solly, in the captain's pod that you did, and some of the other past conversations we had about Rome. The idea that Luke Donald kept saying about the 3-hole matches.
Yeah.
and just get off to a big start. Because like that, we were both there. I mean, it was. It sounds ridiculous to say it was over after the first hole, but it legitimately felt like it was.
Right.
Like Victor Hovland chipping in, it was just like, oh my God, that we've lost it. Like this whole place is already at a 15 out of 10, and there's more matches coming, and these guys clearly do they know the golf course? Are they tired? Like this is going to be whoa. And I think you have to try to recreate at least some of that in the US side, lean into all the things that are at your advantage. But Solly, what was your question you want answered?
This might seem a little backwards, but or that we maybe already have the answer to this, but the question I want answered is how bad. We know it was bad, but truly, how much of a disaster? At what level was the disaster of the Zach Johnson captaincy? Right, because I think we can get in it. If the U.S. bounces back, like we can also look back at the ZJ thing with a totally different viewpoint. Like I was really optimistic about the trend and the direction of Team USA, and is it not nearly as should I not have been as optimistic about it, or was ZJ truly that disastrous? Is where I'm at in this. Like his team showed up competitively rusty and like confused on jet lag and a bunch of stuff that was the most avoidable thing ever, on top of just horribly mismanaging everything. Scotty Scheffler loses 9 and 7, changing up all the pairs. I mean, it was a disaster. But how big was it, right? And, or is it just the team way overrated and they're going to lose this one as well and they're going to go back to a task force? But we're going to have more answers on how bad the ZJ captaincy is.
Kind of a win-win.
Well, what do you
I feel like I'm in a great spot, TC. No matter what happens.
No, it's kind of a win-win for me to where like either the U.S. team loses and like Europe wins and that's great, or the U.S. wins and Zach looks far worse than he ever did previously. That's great too.
I was going to say, what's providing you the answers on the Zach front? Because I think the U.S. at home is like that's seems like pretty cruisy over the last decade, right? But so is that much more on like Luke Donald coming in and winning on the road?
One of the most experienced European teams of all time, and like running back the same playbook and all of that. It just seems like a stronger European team that's come on than anything that's come on the road in the last decade.
So is the word and this plays into one of my questions is like, what if we get another US blowout on home soil? I feel like, where does this competition go? Like I'm glad to hear it's more of a neutral course committee for setup purposes, but like I feel like this event is itching for we need some like tight Ryder Cups a little bit.
Which Randy, to your point,
like everybody keeps throwing this out, but I mean Medina,
that was it. I know we haven't been within years ago.
Rome was probably tighter than you guys are giving it credit for.
It was tight after the first morning session. Like it was, and like the Friday afternoon, those 3 putts they made on 18 flipped it as well. Like it could have been really close. Yeah.
But I mean, Randy, to that point, I think it's really interesting to think about. Like, this is probably I'm not a huge Bethpage guy personally, but this is probably the best course that this event's been on in a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. As far as just, and how much does that contribute to the enjoyment of watching it, or to just the quality of the competition as well, of, having like not a lot going on with these greens. I think that's probably the biggest slight or complaint. And also, on the flip side with Bethpage too, is it too spread out? Like, is some of that energy going to be, just concentrated in like 1 or 2 or 3 different spots? Like, I know that, first 18th hole kind of complex is going to be huge there. And then there's a couple other spots around the course, but it's really hard to get all the way out there to where a lot of that build out is. And then B, like, are those kind of those interlude holes going to be more of just a slow simmer, and like it's kind of going to be almost like a bipolar kind of environment?
Opportunity to spread out is a good thing for this event, though. There's not a lot of golf, especially those first 2 days. Like there's not a lot of golf. And if you're a fan that really wants to see the golf, maybe get out to some of those harder to reach spots, and you're going to be able to see all 4 groups come through. That's better than trying to follow a match.
I just think about it on the flip side of like, I think back to like Inverness for Solheim Cup, or, I wasn't there at I was there at Whistling Straits, but like it was really hard to get from like one end of the golf course to the other.
For sure.
And it almost exacerbated how hard it was to watch golf. to where you just had to camp out at the same spot, all day. Whereas,
which they do a good job with the TVs and the jumbotrons and like making it so that if you do camp out, you don't feel like you're missing out on a million things because you can kind of still watch the coverage. But yeah,
and also I thought it was very silly to just have the Ryder Cup at an event with a lake on one side of it, and like you can only kind of attack it from one side. You can't really surround it. Like you just lost so many viewing opportunities along all those lake holes. And
again, it was justice for Erin Hills would have been such a better fit.
Would have been great. I want to give a shout out to our friends at BMW, worldwide partner, of course, of the 2025 Ryder Cup. They're providing courtesy vehicles for Team USA, Team Europe, the Ryder Cup officials, and Team No Laying Up. Neil and I are going to be cruising around out there. I hear
that's
they got
a massive benefit to both the live shows and just y'all's psyche in general, as far as like being able to get back and forth from the golf course in one piece.
Well, and just a massive shout out to them in general. They do such a great job supporting our Ryder Cup content with such a tiny footprint on all of it. Like any chance I get to shout out all they do around the Ryder Cup and just supporting us as well. They strongly believe that the content comes first, and we just greatly appreciate that. They're one of the best, but we've worked with them for almost a decade now, and it centers around the Ryder Cup. So really appreciate all they've put into it and all they're putting into this one. If you're near the Ryder Cup live at the Rockefeller Center, if you're in the New York City area, you can check out custom cars designed by Keegan and Luke Donald as well. They got all kinds of great stuff going on this week. So shout out to BMW.
Shout out to BMW. Randy, I think this next question is kind of more for you and I. We know where Solly stands. We know where TC stands. You mentioned it off the front. What are your rooting interests in this championship? No, now I'm pinning you down.
No, I don't know. I want you to go first.
Randy, your Scotty fandom has polluted you.
Listen, TC, here's the exercise I did. You just line up both rosters, and I go, 1 if I like a guy, 0 if I don't, and I'll give a half point. Like, I honestly think I net out more points on the US side.
Huh?
Yeah.
What's the composite score? Like 4.5?
Yeah, it's like 4.5 to 3.5.
Only 3.5 guys you like on the European side.
Yeah, like that I actually root for. There are guys that like don't now.
Would you be willing to name names?
Yeah, well, let's go through.
All right, Cody.
And I feel like there should be a -1 as well if you really, really dislike a guy.
So
it's his scale. All right, we'll just go through them here. This is Team Europe we're talking about, Cody.
Are we including the captain or not?
Ooh, I kind of think you got to include the captain.
Yeah, sure. I think the captain plays a part. Yeah,
I mean, Luke's got to be a 1.
Don't put words in his mouth.
I don't have any feelings towards Luke Donald. No, he's a 0.
Okay,
well, 0, not a 0.5.
We'll start in the top corner here. Ludwig.
Let the man speak.
Ludwig's a 1 for me. I like Ludwig.
Fitz.
Personal interactions, I found him to be nice. Fitz is a 0.5, and that's largely because my guy, I know he likes an ice cream down by Salty Dog in Hilton Head. So I do like that.
Harbortown head cover's doing a lot of heavy lifting there.
Yeah.
Tom Fleetwood.
Listen, I know this is unpopular, but it's a 0. Tom doesn't do anything for me.
Are you serious?
Yeah, he just doesn't do anything for me. It's a very non-offensive 0.
So all right, you're gonna have like,
God, I love that you put your name on this.
Fleetwood and Colin Morikawa on the same, or Fleetwood and Cantlay on the same.
No, Colin's his guy.
Yeah, we had.
Colin might be a half-point getter for me.
All right, Tyrrell Hatton.
0.
Rasmus.
0.
Vic.
A half. I can't quite get all the way there with Vic. I love who he is as a person. I don't know. Doesn't do it all the way for me playing golf.
Shane Lowry.
0.
Big shot Bob McIntyre.
0.
Rory.
0.
Interesting.
Wow.
John Rahm.
0.
Justin Rose.
Now Rose is one who has flipped. I like Rose. I give him a point. I like Rosie.
Full point
for Rosie.
And Sepp Straka, Ryder Cup lock.
Nothing. 0. So I think what's that?
I think we're at
3
total.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean,
let's do the US side.
Yeah,
now.
we got to do the US side. I'm sorry, Randy. This is good stuff. Sam Burns.
0.
Cantlay.
0.
Bryson.
A half.
Just sheer entertainment value.
I like watching him. You never know what you're gonna get.
HE.
HE guy, if he's flushing, he's a half.
Okay, so that's one. Benny Booms.
Benny Booms, I do like. He's grown on me. I'm giving him a half.
Okay, so these guys are still only half points. Russ Headley, consummate
Russ
pro.
Russ is right on the line. I'm gonna give him a 0, but he's close to being a half for me.
Jesus.
Jeez,
Your boy, your absolute boy, Colin Morikawa.
Yeah, this is a half. Can't quit him. I
So
like
what
Colin.
are we at here? 1, 2, 3,
Four
4 halves. So we're
Two.
at 2 points. Xander, purveyor of the X app.
Yeah, 0.
JJ Spawn.
This one's hard. I like JJ's story. He's a 0 though, ultimately.
Your favorite player on earth, Scotty Scheffler.
Yeah, he's a 1, like Scotty.
JT.
I'm sorry, 0.
Cam Young.
I like Cam Young. He's a half, and I think that's what does that's the difference.
Good question for Ben Johnson. I'm convinced this is how the Bengals draft. And of course, the captain, Keegan Bradley.
No, 0 for Keegan.
Wow, that's
is that tied?
No, I think it's 3.5 to 3. It was close. So listen, I think it's Team USA this year for me, TC, and that's purely on the numbers.
Fine.
I can't believe you're giving Tommy a 0.
That's
like the most likable guy on any tour worldwide.
God,
TC, you do have to wonder how much you played a role in that.
True. Look inward, TC.
I think he didn't eat. I don't think he's owned enough for like the Titanic just choke jobs that he gave us.
I we don't have to belabor it, but I feel like career Grand Slam winner Rory McIlroy not getting a half point. It's tough.
No, this is me. This is me.
Of course.
Yeah.
Man, that's good stuff. We kind of lucked into one there, that Randy. That's fascinating. I think on my side, to balance the scales from your jingoistic rooting for the USA, TC, I'm gonna be joining you on Team Europe.
Wow.
I think I will echo my guy Rory in saying I don't know if there's a more impressive thing in sports than winning an away Ryder Cup. And I think I'm rooting for the idea of that happening and being able to watch it very closely and enjoy it this weekend more than I am necessarily the individual personalities. But Randy, if I'm going through, I mean, Ludwig's a 1, Tommy's a 1. Hatton's probably a half because he's awesome. Victor Hovland, or he's awesome to watch, I should say, especially in this event. Victor Hovland's a 1. Shane Lowry, I think, is a 1, especially in this event. Rory, I think, is a 1.
You don't mean that.
John Rahm is a 1. Justin Rose is a 1. Sepp Straka, I'm invested in. I fucking love Luke Donald. So I'm kind of I'm buying the idea that, like, I feel like I went very hard on the captain matters, the infrastructure matters, strategy matters, and I really want that to be validated by pulling off a victory on the road. That's how I feel.
Thank you. I think too, it's not dissimilar to even if people didn't like Rory going into the Masters or people were tired by him or whatever. I was exhausted by Rory by the time we got to the Masters. Him winning was objectively freaking cool. And I think it'll be a similar thing if people can be objective about it or almost remove themselves from their patriotism or whatever. The thought of Rory winning a Ryder Cup on foreign soil in New York at Bethpage at this stage of his career after the year that he's had, and kind of, it just feels like such a fitting coda to where like everything else he ever accomplishes in his career is almost icing on the cake at this point. And that feels like the emotional pinnacle of his career. And not to say that he can't and shouldn't win more majors, because he would be selling himself short if he just nailed it in. But if you listen to a lot of his press conferences and stuff, he talks about this season of his life and wanting to make the most of it. And I feel like if he does that, I feel like he can absolutely check that box with no regrets and say, hey, like, I accomplished pretty much every single one of my goals, and and confidently move in whatever direction he wants to next, whether that's next year or in 5 years.
I co-sign all that, TC.
Just of note, he has won one on US soil, obviously with Medina, just for listeners' sake. Like he
I think just to do the full circle thing as the
not be the first, just for the listeners' sake, that would not be his and Rose were the two guys that were on that 2012 team that have done it before. That I'm sure will be making that point in the team room this week of like how possible it all is.
And to do it in Masters, Pebble, Players, Irish Open, on the heels of like one of the most heartbreaking years he's ever had last year too, or the most heartbreaking year. Like it feels like it truly puts him into a new phase of his career, or totally closes that because he called his shot in.
That's what I was going to say.
In Rome too.
You cannot underscore like the video that is going to be going around is him pounding on the dais after winning in Rome and saying we're going to fucking do it again next year. Like that rules. And I'm here to watch that. That
either he or Keegan's getting clipped up in the wrong way though.
Yeah,
we're going to go kick their ass, or we're going to go beat them at Bethpage. There's going to be either one of those two guys is getting clipped up this week.
And now I think the flip side on Rory, where and maybe this isn't the flip side is not the right way to say it. What I think is another factor is I think my guy is going to be gripping the bat tight this week. And I think that might play. I think he's comfortable being that person and doing that. And he's done this enough times that I think it's going to help. And I think he's going to play really good. But I also think that he's going to, watching a lot of baseball, I think he's going to look like one of those managers who's like trying to get thrown out of the game. I think he is going to be top step of the dugout, ready to call balls.
He's been doing that for the last.
That's what I mean.
Months.
I think this is going to be the fever pitch of that. I would not cross Rory this week.
Weirdly, has he been almost preparing himself? Like he's been insufferable for the last 5 months, and has he almost just been getting into character of like I want everybody to hate me in my life, essentially, just so that I can prep for this moment. It's weird, right? It's because like he lost the locker room with me to a large extent, but I just think as an exhibition of sports and sportsman, being a sportsman, like it just feels like such a love him or hate him. It feels like such a powerful singular moment this is going to be.
He brings so much to this event, man. He is a showman. Like they got their doors blown off at Hazeltine, but he was like a entertainer, like from the very jump. He bowed to the crowd. You're welcome for the show. Levitated on the 8th green. It helped that he played really good golf, but just like he brought so much energy to that. And like even after the U.S. won, he was out there like reminding the U.S. like you can celebrate, guys. I know you haven't done this in a while. Like he was in good spirits and just like a very, very clear, like excellent leader for Team Europe and easy person to rally behind. When your own like best player is going to act like that, it's so much easier to go and act like that. Whereas on the U.S. side, who was that leader? Sometimes, whoever that is acts probably too cool for school way more than they do like act somewhat silly in an endearing way like Rory does.
Yeah. Shifting gears a little bit, I want to know if we're looking at these Ryder Cup weeks are long weeks and it's only Tuesday and we're barely even into it yet. We're barely even scratching the surface. But I just want to know what's your guys' favorite story from the lead up. Solly, you kind of mentioned mine earlier. It's the VR headsets. We're going to be program. You can program. I think Rory's quote was, "You can program it to say whatever you want," and just spiraling in my head about like what are they saying? What do they think the U.S. is going to say? Are we revealing like some deep-seated insecurities here? I love everything about that. I think
what if he just sent it to Lane or hey, program this like our friend on the internet.
I think just the intersection of we're preparing to invade a continent and this is just a stupid golf tournament, like where those two things meet, I think is where the sweet spot is for me. But Solly, what do you got?
Can we all agree if the U.S. was using VR headsets to simulate crowd noise, it would be a field day? Like sometimes we got to call Europe on some of this stuff. Okay,
I know. Europe does get a pass on some of this.
These are my boys you're talking about here.
Everything. I absolutely love Brandel's complete commitment to the bit and just truly a nobody. Brandel, yeah, Bryson's using bots on his YouTube page to drive his views. Like,
can you? If anybody missed this, can you reiterate?
He was on live from, and he was saying, that his YouTube view. He's talking more about his YouTube views, which are dubious. I'm sure there's some bots out there driving the interest on this, which was great. And then he's a locker room problem. I'm paraphrasing here as well, just like. Anyone who has, been touched at all by Live Golf just gets this ire from Brandel. 365 every single day of the year. It's amazing. Like, it's truly amazing how there's zero let up in this guy. And I appreciate him being a beacon that we can all, kind of poke fun at in this, because it was a pretty ridiculous take.
I love Brandel. Brandel should be the U.S. captain. That would win me back.
Right, should buy the Sawgrass Marriott.
That's a good point. TC, you got one?
I think my favorite thing in the entire lead up has been the those like PGA of America party kits they put out. They were like $1,000 or like there's some napkins and just,
oh god, if you missed this already, this was like they were having like party starter kits that they were selling online. It was like everything was spelled out like specific quantities that you get, and it was you got it.
The at-home fan kit, watercolor art print of Bethpage Black, 24 cocktail napkins, 12 coasters, 12 commemorative cups, 12 drink stirrers and skewers, 12 flag toothpicks, 8 balloons, 1 hanging pennant, 1 table runner, and a Ryder Cup guide booklet. And that was the $343 one. The ultimate kit, which I believe was let's see here, $1,081, including $105 worth of ticket processing fees, which I know really floats Randy's boat.
For sure.
This one had 100 cocktail napkins, coasters, commemorative cups, drink stirs and skewers, and flag toothpicks, 20 table tents, 3 bar menus, 2 quiet please paddles, 3 window clings, 1 wall flag, 1 hanging pennant, 1 pillowcase banner, and a customizable digital promotional asset for your venue or club to promote the watch party.
$1,000.
Say no more.
Yeah. How many did you order, TC?
I've got 6 on the way, which is $630 in processing fees.
It's good stuff. I think that's a good indicator.
And just generally speaking, I think that is pretty representative of like everything we've heard on all of the ticket exchanges and just how the PGA of America has gone about doing this with the ticket brokers. And I don't even know if it's StubHub or which one they're using, but it's all just like the biggest racket in the world. And, they're just strangling this thing.
Randy, did you have one?
A bit of a late entry, but I'm still trying to suss out the claim that Trump has saved the Ryder Cup. I feel like we may have missed the mark not having that off the top, but I think he's used this delaying the Long Island Railroad strike as a way to say like all of this wouldn't be happening. And I don't know, that kind of tickles me.
Yeah, there was a lot to it's crazy how strange the world has to be for that to not even really make a blip anymore. It's like, oh yeah, all right. Solly, what do we got as far as odds?
Guys, this weekend, Team USA, Team Europe squaring off in one of the biggest international golf battles of the year. And you got a reason to follow every swing. FanDuel is giving you a 50% profit boost every day, Friday through Sunday, as the action unfolds at the Ryder Cup. That's right, a new boost each day. 3 days, 3 chances to cash in, all for the most anticipated team event in golf. They have so many great offers up there. I cannot wait to get set foot down in New York. You can bet like day 1. You can bet on foursome, day 1 foursomes, day 2 foursomes. You can do tournament 4 balls winner, tournament foursomes winner. I gave you some good intel there as to how much the U.S. has dominated this foursomes at home. They're plus 105 to win foursomes for the overall tournament. Your boy's going to be dabbling a little bit on that. You can get the player. You can bet on the player to score the winning point. Number of halved matches. You can bet on spreads as well. If you think it's going to be a blowout, you can bet like Europe. You can Europe -4. If you think they're going to win by 4 or more, that's plus 650 on there. Like if you want to get after like a blowout of some kind.
Good teams win on foreign soil. Great teams cover.
That's exactly right. So you get involved, that top score, all that good stuff. Whether you're back in the red, white, and blue or looking to ride the momentum of Europe's finest, there's never been a better time to bet on golf. Bet on who will lift the cup, individual matchups, so much more. FanDuel.com/NLU to download the app and get in on the golf action. Must be 21 and older in present and select states and 18 and older in D.C., Kentucky, and Wyoming. Opt-in required. Bonus issued is non-withdrawable profit boost tokens. Restrictions apply, including any token expiration and max wager amount. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Visit rg-help.com. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut. I'm so Ryder Cup ready. Come on.
Ready to rock. I love it. Well, we talked a little bit, we're about who we want to send off first in Friday foursome. Solly, I tend to agree with you. You really sold me on the Bryson and Cam Young. That would be electric. From the European side, Rory and Tommy's natural. Ludwig and Victor, again, feels like a natural option as well. Any other nominees? You guys like those?
I think Rahm. Would be a good dude to send off first.
Yeah.
I'm just super curious, like with how much success Europe had in foursomes at home on a different golf course, if they are changing the pairings at all, or does the golf course play a factor in the math equation that goes into setting these things up, or do you kind of stick with what worked 2 years ago when everybody's playing profiles a little bit different? Then it's just an interesting spot that they're in terms of putting out their foursomes pairings.
I imagine they've probably unlocked some new ones. I think to your point, there's a lot of guys. You can say this about both teams that are just different players than they were. Like I think Bob's a much better player than he was.
Yeah.
I think Ludwig's a much, hasn't played great over the last year or so, like 8 months or so, but it seems like he's kind of getting his previous form back. Like Ludwig's a much more experienced player than he was coming straight out of Texas Tech to Rome. Fitz is playing much better golf than
Fitz is an
interesting
question coming into this, because
Tommy's raised his floor too, and he's got a great record.
Yeah, Fitz is what, 1-7 or something coming into this. I mean, it's
not good.
That's a stark record. I don't know if we're going to see. I don't know where we're going to see him. Just 4 balls.
That's kind of what he's.
birdies.
Yeah. I mean, he played. His record's just a little bit misleading. I mean, he hasn't been great, but it is. I don't know. I'm not. If I'm Team Europe, I'm not nervous about sending Matt Fitzpatrick out in a Ryder Cup match.
He's also a much different player than he was during the first 2 or 3 of these. He played in as well.
Can I shout out the Data Golf has a new insights tab on their Ryder Cup stuff that gives you like their optimal pairings and foursomes. They're obviously making their best guess, but I mean, it's a pretty cool tool. It shows you like exactly what every pairing would potentially look like in terms of overall skill. Like they're like basically if you put Rahm and Rory together, their overall skill will be plus 2.33. That's the best possible one, but you can get boosts by pairing certain guys together. Like their pairing number 1 is Rory and Tommy. Pairing 2 is Rahm and Hatton. Pairing 3 is Ludwig and Robert McIntyre. And 4 is Hovland and Fitzpatrick. Whereas on the U.S. side, it goes Scotty and J.J. Spawn. I know a lot of us are expecting them to go Scotty and Russell Henley. They are going Bryson and Russell Henley, Xander and Ben Griffin, Cameron Young and Patrick Cantlay. I do not think that's what we should expect to see from the U.S. side, but I found that interesting from just a math overall perspective. And you can go see like what the average skill is for literally any pairing that anyone comes up with. And they have a compatibility factor in there. I'm not positive how they're doing that. Also have it for 4 balls. It's just in a breakdown of Bethpage as well, how each hole plays in what it will favor. It's a really cool tool.
Their best fit. Sorry, real quick. Their best fit for 4 balls. For Team USA, they have Cantlay and Scheffler. Mm-hmm. They have Bryson and Ben Griffin.
I've heard a lot of that. Bryson and Benny Booms.
They have JJ Spawn and Cameron Young. And they have Sam Burns and Xander. Not a lot of HE in any of that. Not a lot of who else am I missing here? Not a lot of JT in any of that. Not a lot of Morikawa in any of that. Interesting, something to watch. And then on the European side, this is for 4 balls, they have Rory and Fitz as the top fit. They have Hatton and John Rahm second, Victor Hovland and Ludwig third, and then Tommy and Rasmus as the 4th. That's a fun tool. I like seeing how that compares to the reality.
Solly, how does the how do the odds and evens work?
That's a great question, TC. So if you are teeing off the odds, you're expected to send the longer player off the odds. You are expected to be probably hitting driver all 7 times that you're on those holes. So the par 3s are even. There's 2 odds, 2 even ones on the par 3s. There are 2 even holes, 2 and 6. Again, I've never been to Bethpage. I'm going to scope all this out as well, but there's some risk of potentially of not hitting drivers on 2 and 6 and 18 as well. So those are the ones that we're expecting to see Rory and Bryson teeing off the first hole. If it's Scotty and Russell Henley, I assume we're going to see Scotty teeing off the first hole. If it's Hatton and Rahm, I assume we're going to see Rahm teeing off the first hole, and that gets that works out pretty evenly. I'm pulling this from the data golf analysis here, but the median approach distance for both the even and odd player are about the same. It's in like the 165 to 170 range, but the even players' approaches will be concentrated around the 150 to 210 yards, while the odd player will face a more balanced distribution of approach shots with critical 200 plus shots on 3, 4, 12, 17, short irons on 2, 6, 13, and 18. So I know it's a lot to take in, but there's a great Bethpage Black insights tool that they have kind of showing shot distribution, all this stuff. I spent a lot of my morning kind of breaking down buckets of bins where approach shots are going to come from and where the strokes gained, distribution comes from and all that. If it becomes a long iron contest, if it's wet a little bit, there's some rain in the contest. If anything over 150 favors Europe slightly, anything less than 150 favors the Americans a little bit more significantly. But I could see it turning into a little bit of an arms race off the tee because, there's always an advantage of hitting it closer to the green, but that's where the U.S. is going to potentially have the advantage.
Solly, have we ruled out that the U.S. is cloud seeding?
We've not.
There
We have not ruled that out.
Possibly bring JT and Morikawa, a wet golf course, more long irons, bring them more into the fold.
Scotty.
We'll look into that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's interesting. Ask around, see if you can hear anything there. Anything else, just while we're talking Bethpage, I've been there once. It is a much bigger, much more dramatic ballpark than it probably will feel on TV. I know that's a popular opinion. Much more land movement, elevation change. I think there's a ton of uphill second shots, like approach shots that you're constantly hitting up onto these shelves and plateaus. And I don't know if there's like a big feel. I don't know how it's going to play, stroke play versus match play, I guess is what I'm saying. I don't really have a great feel for that. And I look forward to kind of reading more and seeing more as the next couple days go on. And then obviously as we get into the matches, but anybody have any strong feelings there as far as, I know the PGA was kind of a slog a little bit, the most recent one, but anything that might feel different once we get into match play?
By all accounts, I don't believe the rough is anywhere near as high as it was in May of 2019 when they held the PGA there, and it was completely one note. And honestly, one of the worst major championship setups I can remember over the last 10 years. It soured a lot of people on Bethpage, myself included, but I don't think that's how this is going to be set up. So I think Bethpage is going to be a golf course that this event is played on. I think it's a good stage, a good golf course, and I don't think it's going to play a massive factor on this. Whistling, I thought, was a stronger fit for the U.S. side, just with many long irons they were going to have and how good of a long iron team that team was. This a little less than that, and a little the teams are so close in profile as it stands. I don't see the golf course playing a massive effect on this event. The environment potentially could, but the golf course I think is somewhat straightforward.
Yeah,
Randy, going back to your question earlier, the capital S situation. Like what would cause that? What does that look like? Does that look like, Rory and a fan getting physical? Does that look like somebody yelling in a backswing? Does that look like running onto the green and
I think everything's on the table?
Tackle someone?
TC, I think that's it, man. It's like it's all. I feel like there's at least a remote possibility of any of that shit happening.
God. We shall
do we know, does the what's the PGA? Because DT is going to be there on Friday as well. I imagine getting in there on Friday or whichever day is going to be an absolute chore with just security and
for sure
logistics and the railroad, all that stuff. I'm like, this is truly it's a fascinating spectacle of event operations and logistics and just kind of sports consulting a little bit of these big agencies, how they pull this off. You know,
It's gonna be time to earn some dough this week for some of the organizers. That is for sure. Randy, we haven't talked much singles. Talk to me about your dream singles matchup. You can stack the deck however you want. What do you want to see? Where do you want to see him on Sunday?
I mean, I don't think there would be anything better than Ryder Cup on the line, Rory versus Scotty. I mean, I know that's probably obvious maybe, but like that's where my mind goes. I'd love to see the two best players in the world fighting it out for a Ryder Cup.
I think from a spirit of the game perspective, I agree with you. I think from a I feel bad for our country, but there's tremendous content. It's Rory Bryson.
Yeah.
Right. And that's where I think that almost is the litmus test of what are you trying to get out of this event? You know, would you rather
Rory
see Rory
Cantlay,
Bryson
too.
or would you rather see Rory Scotty? I think that's a pretty interesting question.
Well, I want Scotty Rahm for the third year in a row, a third Ryder Cup in a row. Like that was a really fun budding rivalry that kind of somewhat went away with Rahm leaving the PGA Tour, and that was going to be a really, really good one, I thought, and I hope they continue that one. I know there's some shenanigans that go in and putting these singles matchups together. Like, give us those two, and I think we're gonna have a really fun Sunday.
TC,
I would love to see. I mean, Rory versus a lot of those guys. I'd love to see like Rory versus Cantlay would get it done for me. I think Tommy versus Colin would be really interesting.
it's a fun one.
That would be a fun one.
From an iron play and just passion perspective. I think Team Rose versus JT would be pretty compelling.
That's good stuff too. Yeah.
Yeah.
We haven't talked a lot of JT. So
Well,
how you feeling about JT coming into this week?
I mean, not good. It's not really trending the right way. I think like if I had to, if I had to like look at what would worry me the most, if I was as a US fan, is like, all right, we have Scotty, who he just has to have a great week. He just does at least 3 points, like, and potentially 3.5 and 4. But like whoever the second, third, and fourth best players are, I can't like confidently state who that's going to be. Like there's some players that usually emerge Ryder Cup week for the US, but like there was one guy that got 3 or more points for the US in Rome. And that guy's not on the team this year. That was Max Homa, who got 3.5 points. Like, I think Europe had 5 guys get at least 3 points in a row. Hatton, Hovland, Rory, Rahm, and Fleetwood all got at least 3 points. Like, Europe is stronger. Like, the U.S. is strongest at the top. Europe is stronger like 2 through 5. I think the U.S. is stronger at the bottom, but that matters less than 2 through 5. Like, they're just going to have to – somebody's going to have to knock off one of those top 5 European guys and make them have a bad week, or else the U.S. could be in trouble. And is JT the top candidate for that? He's been kind of like the dude in Ryder Cups. I campaigned so hard for him in 2023. And does the week go differently if he doesn't play with Spieth and he plays in morning foursomes? Maybe. It's hard to say, but he obviously was not great then. It hasn't been great really since April. But something happens for him in this event, and especially on home soil, he's been really, really good at the 2 that he's played at home, or I guess just the 1 he's played at home. Excuse me. He was pretty good at Whistling Straits. So that, and then Morikawa, I think, are massive question marks on the U.S. side. Morikawa went 1 and 3 in Rome as well, and was playing a lot better golf back then than he is now. So that's where I think this Ryder Cup's going to get decided, in that like kind of 2 through 4 or 5-ish range on both sides. And the U.S. is going to need 1 or 2 guys to really step up. It might be Ben Griffin, might be JJ Spawn. Like, honestly, I don't know who those guys are going to be, but they're going to need to identify them.
Well,
So
I had a question.
Xander's play the last 2-3 months of the season, really from Scottish Open onward, allay any concerns on that front?
Sure. I'm always concerned. It's a totally different environment, you know. I mean, Cantlay wasn't nearly as sharp as he has been in years past. It's a lot of question marks, man. And it's how much sometimes you can throw. I mean, Scotty couldn't have been hotter though going into Rome, and he went 0-2 and was awful. Like, it's a completely different environment, and you just truly never know what's going to happen. Other than stuff's going to get weird. That's the only thing I know is going to happen.
I was going to ask you guys a question. I had a question for Solly. You know, what's the one key to the Team USA victory? I feel like you just kind of laid it out there.
Yeah. That was
and I was going to ask TC what the flip side of that is. What is the, you know, if you're boiling it down into a sentence or two, what's the key to Europe winning?
I think it's those 2 through 5 guys playing like stalwarts, like a Ludwig playing, really comfortably. I think Hovland's got to play well. Fleetwood, like just, your studs. Like you may get a surprise from Rasmus or from Fitz, or, I think anything you can get, let's say 3 sessions from Rose is a bonus. But those guys that I'm totally torn between, like, Rahm and Rory have gone 4 or 5 sessions each time. I think an away Ryder Cup like this is such a emotionally draining thing. And is the key to victory going, Rory playing all 5 matches and going 4-1 or 3-1-1 or something? Same thing with Rahm, or is it spreading the load out a little bit more and somebody like, Tyrrell playing really well? I don't know. Like I don't have a good answer, and I'd be lying if I said like, here's the key to victory. I think it's just like, dude, you just got to play good golf. And
I think the usage is more fascinating for this one than any one I can remember, right? And I think that comes down to the teams just being so close and it being so tempting to both ride the horses and also to trust in the fact that you do match up on paper pretty well, and you can rest guys, and you can, sit them for a session, and they're going to be fresher later. But also, it is such a fucking coin flip on who's going to play well over 3 days in September. That it is. That's the margin. I know.
I do think
around there, but
if Shane plays well, like if Shane comes out and plays well the first day and a half, I think that's a massive, massive feather in the European cap of just, kind of the heart and soul of the team, and from a locker room perspective, and feeling like, all right, like everybody came to play. Kind of thing.
Shane's a one to circle in terms of if you go back to Rome, I mean, getting what they were able to get out of Robert McIntyre, which was not good golf, but like by the thinnest of margins, just enough contribution to get points on the board. Like that's an easier thing, I feel like, to manipulate or kind of get away with at home. And on the road, it's really hard to scrape by with anything less than excellent golf. And that's the thing with, like, Lowry's got to play really well. Like he's the 12th man, I think, in terms of form coming into this. And
I think form coming into this, and also like Rasmus is obviously just a four ball guy.
He's kind of a wild card.
He's going to make a bunch of birdies. Like, that's, just a matter of what else he does and what he does in singles. But yeah, Lowry is like, is he the weak link with how he's played over the last year and a half?
And he doesn't have a great Ryder Cup record, if I remember right. I mean, I don't know exactly what it is.
I think it's a little stronger than I've given him credit for, than people, just with context of like carrying around Rory's corpse at Whistling Straits and
2, 3, and 1
other stuff.
So, yeah.
But,
I think what I do know for sure is that Randy, if there is a situation, you will see Shane Lowry in the corner of that screen. He will be there.
Capital S.
I'm not saying he's going to be causing it. I'm not saying anything. It's just whenever there is one of those things, he just is around.
What was the show that had this situation?
I think that was Jersey Shore.
Yeah,
I believe.
We're not too
Mike,
far from
the situation.
What, I mean, maybe the situation is Chris Gotterup coming out pissed off that he's not on the team and creating a scene.
Honestly, I hadn't thought about Chris Gotterup since they picked the teams.
Since we put him on the team after the Scottish Open. Randy, what were you going to say?
No, I just think the one thing that maybe we haven't mentioned is the possibility. I think it would be a bit delicious with all the talk about the European system and the analytics and the numbers. And man, we've got experience. Like, what if the US just comes out and fucking kicks their ass? Like, is it time for Team Europe to kind of look themselves in the mirror and be like, is all this just kind of full of shit? And it just comes down to like, we play well at home, and
I think
maybe
they're going to be talking about the fans and the money. I think if that's what
the result does not give the verdict on the process. Those two things are independent of one another.
That's kind of what makes me want the U.S. just to beat their ass. Right there.
You're not even asking the right question, Randy.
Yeah.
Did we win? That's not even.
I thought you were process-based,
We're so far past that. That's not even relevant.
I think there's a time for the process, and then there's a time for like, does it actually do anything? And we're
yeah,
getting
but
to
you're
the point
saying
where
that
I'm like, I want to see some fruits being bared.
they have. I mean, by all accounts, Solly had written Europe off when we were leaving Whistling Straits and we were in the RV, and he's like, man, like it's going to be a rough next decade for Europe, and here we are talking about two pretty evenly matched teams, and I think it goes beyond the analytics and the data and
At home, it does.
all the dodo stuff, Randy, and it just. I think these guys like each other and they relish this and they like playing together. And I think that's a big part of it. That's not process. That's just reality.
Well, all that can be true, but it's also like, what good does that do them? I guess that's the question that maybe we get an answer to, maybe we don't. I'm just throwing it out there as something I'm very much going to be thinking about as play unfolds.
I think all that stuff really matters, Randy. Like Europe is statistically still like the weaker team on paper over the last 5 Ryder, like every single one. Like the last time they were the stronger team, maybe they were stronger technically in 2018, but like they use all the culture stuff to like overcome that gap more often than they should, more often than the numbers say they should. I think still stands. Now, can they go on the road and overcome all of that? The talent gap and the home field advantage is like, where Rory's talking about
on
being
the
one of the
flip
hardest
side,
things to do.
Randy, if they do that, it would be the ultimate affirmation of like
for sure.
Yeah,
for sure. So there is, and I think maybe we didn't talk about that explicitly either, but like I don't think we had talked about the inverse either. And I just wanted to throw that out there.
If you thought I was a little harsh on ZJ, if Keegan blows a home Ryder Cup, oh my goodness, Sunday night, be here Sunday night, be here for that. Okay. Please be here for that, because
does it make you feel, I know it doesn't make Solly feel sad, but does it make you guys feel a little sad that this should be like
Phil
versus Sergio as far as, or Phil versus Poulter as far as captains in this one?
For sure.
Yeah.
Like I think that was, we were robbed of that.
Solly, I was listening to you and Porter on the Normal Sports Show, the podcast Porter just started, and just recounting some of those old Phil moments and I'm sorry you took it that way. That's not what I meant at all. And just him boat racing Tom Watson inside the team room allegedly and turning his back to him and saying one thing about each guy and completely flipping the mood of the room. I'm just like, TC, I felt the exact same way this morning. I'm just like, this is gonna be a great Ryder Cup. I can't wait, but man, that sucks. It should be Phil. It would be even better.
He would have been an awesome captain.
I will say, the capital S situation, I could see Keegan getting in a fight, maybe with somebody on his own team. You know, like
oh my God, how did they not do Miguel Angel Jimenez as a
assistant captain?
Right.
He doesn't even have to be an assistant captain. He could just be a cart driver.
Exactly. Right? TC, we said this on the Trout Shot. Could have been like Trump bringing Malik Obama to that debate, just sitting him in the front row. Do that with Miguel. Just say, remember me? You know, park him on all the tee boxes. Get Pepsi out there running around. I don't know. I love it.
I know how much this event means to him, so I'm just going to check in on Phil's Twitter. Oh my God! Oh, Phil is not talking about the Ryder Cup on social media this week, guys.
How's Sable doing this week?
Yeah,
he's on to some other things now.
Congress, I think last I saw.
Who would be your? All right, another question that's burning for me. Who would be your guy in the envelope? That's I feel like 4 different. Media outlets, and they're all good vignettes, or all good things of like, hey, like here's what the envelope is. It's if anybody gets hurt or whatever.
So if anybody doesn't know what we're talking about, if a player, it's for Sunday singles basically, because it's 12 on 12, everybody has to play, and so if somebody's unable to go, each team puts a man in the envelope. And so if Europe has a player that's not able to go, the U.S. has to go to their envelope, open it up, and say that the person we did not essentially want to play was this person. Very brutal system, very funny system. We are also, this is where, if you've heard in the past, our takes in the envelope come from. We will be sealing those up, I believe, on Thursday night. We're going to be putting 3 takes each of what we think is about to happen, and we will not open them until Sunday. Randy, who are you putting in the envelope for each team?
For Team USA, I'm putting Harris English in the envelope. I think.
Wow.
No shade on HE, but
if he's flushing it,
if I can guarantee, because it is each person gets a half point, right? If a match can't go, I think locking in a half singles point with HE is great, and I also think he's a gentleman. He'll relish that role. So that's my pick. On the European side, I think the natural inclination would be like to put Rasmus, the rookie, in the envelope.
Maybe Sepp with how he's played
maybe
lately,
Sepp.
Yeah.
I honestly maybe a Justin Rose if
wow,
just
you can't
is
hold
he going to be
Team
tired?
Rose out of
What
singles?
if they just honor him on Sunday instead of him actually playing? They just make a whole Instagram video about him.
Sally, who's yours?
I think Keegan probably put himself in the envelope. Just to be clear, guys, I'm not playing Sunday singles. Okay, I don't want to make this about me, but I'm not gonna go play. Just to lay down the tracks one.
And then Europe with Sebi.
The great man.
And then it's just it's a there's 29 total points up for grabs, not 28.
If I'm the US, I think it's something you figure out week up. You do it Sunday morning, right? You don't do it. You do it before the week starts.
No, I think you're right. I think it is Sunday morning.
You get a chance
Saturday
to see
night?
how guys are playing.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe Saturday
Okay.
night. You get a chance to see how guys are playing. I don't know. Is JJ Spawn going to be like? He's not the best course fit, and I know he had a good fall on top. Like that'd probably be my number one estimation as of now. But could be if Griffin comes out as wildly nervous and stinks. I think he's going to ball out. I'm excited for him. But the English pick is interesting as well. That's one that that's hard. It's really hard. I think it's easier on the European side. I think
Wouldn't
Rasmus
you
or
need to
Shane.
do it on before play starts in case someone got hurt during the course of play?
I don't know. We'll have to look into how the nitty gritty of the envelope situation. I want to go back to JJ Spawn for a second because I don't want him to be a victim of his own openness or a victim of his own quotes because I think everybody has a lot going on and very few people actually say it out loud. But he had a lot of stuff earlier in the year after really after the U.S. Open, but talking about previous ages in his career and like how much he struggled with confidence, how much it's taken to believe that he's the right guy for the job. And I think winning a major certainly has to, make you feel like a lot of that goes away. But I do think this tournament's a different animal. And I don't know that he's the one that I'm looking on that side. I'm like, yeah, I don't know if the stroke play results, I'm not going to guarantee they project into an event like this. I do think it's a different arena. Granted, it's a home one, but I don't know. Do you guys have any thoughts on that?
I could see him being their best player too. It's one of those things. Like, I didn't feel great about Patrick Reed in 2014. He was playing terrible going into that Ryder Cup, and immediately it was like, oh my God, that's going to be the guy that you just go to the whip on it and ride out to the finish. Like, that's the beauty. Like, there's some major. That's a fun thing about having some new players in this. Like, I could see Ben Griffin and JJ Spawn being two of the best American players. Like, I could see world where Ben Griffin plays Benny Booms. I could see where he plays 5 matches if he gets it plays the Max Homa role this year, So yeah, I just did read it. You do put the name in the envelope on Sunday when you submit your singles lineup. I'm sorry, so Saturday. But it's ahead of the singles on Sunday. Anyways,
I mean, I would say the other thing that Spawn, maybe it's a blessing, maybe it's a curse, is like his game is predicated upon accuracy, which isn't quite as much a factor on this setup, and then but also like he's one of the best putters we've seen in recent memory, and that's one of the things that gets most affected by nerves, right?
Yeah. And I think again, I was thrilled to hear Trevor Ummelman say this out loud as well. When I don't remember if it made the final version of the pod, but just talking like you're better off hiding somebody in foursomes versus 4-ball because you have to make birdies in 4-ball. You are worth nothing if you do not make birdies in 4-ball. So you can be less than perfect if you're keeping the ball in play and hitting average golf shots in foursomes. And so I think we tend to, with some of these players that you're like kind of nervous about how they're going to play, you tend to say, I'll just put them in 4-ball, let them play their own ball and they'll be fine. Whereas you might be better off letting them play in foursomes. So that's where like you can really get complicated trying to talk through it. But the order of what you play on the first morning and second morning is important because Like you can pretty much pen in what you want to do in foursomes both days, I would imagine. Like, and you're only leaving yourself wiggle room for the 4-ball matches. But I don't know. We can be in a pretzel on that. But
Solly, anybody else we need to thank today?
We do. It's officially fall. That does not mean golf has to slow down for some of us down here in Florida. Golf season's just getting started. But yeah, if you have any golf trips this season, do yourself a favor. Check out what our friends at Club Glove launched this year. Club Glove is the #1 golf travel bag on tour for a reason. It's trusted by more than 60% of PGA Tour professionals, including Victor Hovland, Shane Lowry. Club Glove re-engineered their traveler bag this year. This thing is insane. This year's travelers have 25% more padding. It's as soft as a pillow. They topped it with this velour lining to really cushion your clubs during travel. They started using a ballistic nylon that tested 3 times stronger than any previous models. And they added a built-in TSA lock to keep your clubs secure, as well as a ton of bells and whistles you really have to check out for yourself. So discover the all-new #1 golf travel bag on tour at clubglove.com. For a limited time, you can use code NLU at checkout and receive a complimentary gift with purchase. Again, that's code NLU at clubglove.com today.
It truly is, even versus their previous generation of stuff. And then having used previous other like competitors in the past, like it's night and day.
Yeah.
They're so
I like
nice.
enjoy putting my golf clubs in and out of my Club Glove.
I love that new line. All right, guys, only a couple more questions to get to here, and I want to go to this one. We've all been to Ryder Cup. Solly's been to a bunch. I've been to a couple. Favorite in-person Ryder Cup, or I'm going to say Ryder Cup adjacent memory from you guys. Matt, who runs our socials, put together like just a great carousel on Instagram the other day of just a bunch of fun Ryder Cup memories that I kind of forgot about. I was just curious, TC, I'll throw it to you first. What sticks out as far as some of your favorites?
I would say, I mean, I've only been to one. I just went to Whistling Straits, and it's just standing there talking to Jim Nance and Seth and Jane Law for like 3.5 hours. It felt like on, what was that, Friday or Saturday? They're near the hospitality.
Saturday, I think,
yeah. And just like, it's truly like, what a world. Like, this is crazy.
Jane Waugh is a take Smith. That's where my head had gone also.
Yeah.
BC. That was good. I think piggybacking, I've only been to one as well. It was such a fun, unique setup though, with the RV being like right across the street.
Oh, you loved it, Randy.
Whistling Straits. I'm so thankful I didn't have to sleep in it. I think that's partly why I liked it. But just getting back there, having some beers, doing the shows, it was really a fun experience.
Our guy Zig, who Solly and I met at 2 years in advance or something at this point, right? We booked our spot. It was God, that was just really, really fun. Coming back and having beers with like there were a couple of guys from, who was it, Abu Dhabi or something. I remember talking to those guys late into the night at, our guy Zig put on a party every night that we could kind of come back and have beers.
Storm rolled through.
Yeah, that was fantastic. I've only been to one on the road, and being on the first tee, Solly, I think at Rome, I know it wasn't I think Paris, has been built up as this lore of maybe the best first tee ever. Hazeltine sounds like it was up there as well, but that was my first, like Wisconsin. I love Wisconsin. Nobody loves Wisconsin more than me, of course, but it was pretty flat at Whistling Straits, and I didn't really know what to expect. No Euros. Right. It was kind of post-COVID, and didn't really know what to expect. And I was like, man, I hope this whole thing hasn't been overblown. And I thought Rome just absolutely brought the noise. They rolled the banner of the great man Sevi out. Guys are doing chants. The sun's coming up. It ruled, and it was like this is why we made the trip sort of morning. Solly, what do you got? You got a long history to pull from.
Yeah, I mean, the first one I covered like in earnest, I went in 2012, but I didn't get to go the first tee shot. Like I went into Hazeltine, and like that opening tee shot was just there was a fervor there for that one. I mean, Patrick Reed, was out there in short sleeves. There was like a fog, and there was just song after song, and the Euros would sing a song, and the U.S. fans would get louder and drown it out. There was just a very real energy around that first tee. Like, it was complete opposite of Wisconsin. I was so disappointed with Whistling, the opening tee shot at Whistling, and compared to like what we experienced on that opening tee that day. And that entire week, like I'd never really gotten to walk inside the ropes like that event and getting to go in between holes. There's just so many, it's like 8 rows deep of people just on the rope line watching the players walk from one green to the next tee. And it's just like making the hair on my arms stand up. Just everybody chanting USA at Reed as he's going by, and Rory's instigating the crowd. And you just got to like literally walk like right behind him as all this was happening. It launched this event into a completely different stratosphere for me of like, dude, I've been to a lot of golf tournaments. I've, followed a lot of golf, and like nothing compares to this level of energy. And like the fact that you only do it every 2 years and there's just so much on the line with every single shot. It's just the best, man. It's great. And I think this week is going to be closer to Hazeltine than it was Whistling Straits.
Can I ask you before we move on? I mentioned listening to Porter's pod, and I don't think this got any run in our internal Slack. But can you tell us about the dream that you had the other night?
Oh God, what was it? When you have a dream,
I almost had to pull off on the side of the road as I was listening to this morning. How did I not hear anything about this? I believe
something to do with Lucas Glover.
You had a dream about the Ryder Cup. I think there were so many situations, incidents, injuries. I don't know. You said that there were fill-in players. You said Hank Lebioda was on the team.
Yeah, that's right.
I believe.
Yeah, that's right. You couldn't find our way to the first tee. That's what it was. Exactly.
There's another player that I can't remember that was a fill-in as well. But the real specific detail I remember was that somebody had forgotten their glove.
Yeah.
Do you remember this? And who they had to borrow it from?
Was it me?
No, it was Adam Levine of Maroon 5.
Dude, dreams, I can remember them like the next morning and then it's gone forever. Like I couldn't ever tell you another dream I've ever had. And I was rolled right out of bed, right into this pod. I was like, I said the weirdest Ryder Cup dream last night.
I was like, man, these are so many specifics. That's wild. All right, I think that tees it up. We've arrived at the conclusion of our program. Which team wins?
Real quick. Are we bullish or bearish on TV coverage? This was kind of our Waterloo last time.
What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's going to stink.
It's the return of Faldo. We got Faldo in the booth. Hicks, Faxon, and McGinley, and then Gannon, Noda, and Faldo are the play-by-play analyst pairings. It sounds like they're trying to get the commentary to be more partisan. Kind of across the way there.
Embrace
Bones, Smiley, Kurt Byram, on-course reporters. I've heard rumors that Tom Roy is not doing it, that they've got a new guy in there running the show this week, which is interesting.
Could be interesting.
It's only not that far from Stamford, Connecticut. I would hope that they get everybody, that they cover it with an ample amount of cameras and have options for streams and all that stuff.
I will be, if it's great, I will be the first person to shout out how great it is. I'm rooting for it to be great. I hope it is, but I think from the group that, this is not NBC's fault, but from the group that brought you the $1,000 table tents and cocktail napkins, and I don't know that the focus of this event has necessarily been on making the greatest fan experience ever, and I'm gonna guess it's packed to the gills with ads and all kinds of stuff that kind of trickle down from either the PGA of America or NBC or both. So we shall see, but I will likely be watching a lot on DVR this week, I think.
Are we gonna get a blocky Don Ree appearance?
So. How's Blocky not in the celebrity
no idea.
Cup? Some good names in there. Did you guys see that?
I just missed it, I think.
I think there's more names that would be kind of on Randy's wavelength than anybody else's. Tony Kukoc, Chef Jose Andres, Pau Gasol, Sully, your boy, Noah Khan, TC's guy, Strahan, John McEnroe, Bob Flay. Apparently he's dating that girl, Brooke.
Yeah, Brooke.
Top Chef.
Brooke Williamson. Yeah.
That's interesting. Timu Solani.
Sure.
Timu Solani.
Yeah, before you criticize, Randy, I think these are like
who is
a lot of your boys.
Who's Brooklyn Peltz Beckham? Is that David Beckham's kid?
I don't know who that is.
Must be.
I'm not embarrassed to say I don't know who that is. I wish them all the best. Catherine Zeta-Jones playing?
Miranda Lambert. I know Randy's a big Miranda Lambert
No, I haven't gone
fan of her
country
entire
yet.
catalog.
I haven't
All
gone
right,
country.
all right. We're wavered. I brought up the celebrity all-star match. I should have done that.
Dean Brown.
I do. I want to land the plane here. This is the last question. Who wins, and who will be the top point scorer? I think it is time to go on the record here.
U.S. wins 16-12. Scott Scheffler goes 3-1-1.
Who wants to go next?
I'll go next. Europe wins 15-13, and the Reds clinch the last wild card spot. I'm gonna parlay those two things. FanDuel. That's
massive.
Top point scorer? Tito Francona?
Top point score. Yeah, top
Smelly
point scorer.
Cruz.
Santiago.
Spencer Steer. No, top point scorer is, I'm gonna say Ludwig.
Man, TC, I like that 15-13 Europe. I'm willing to look like a fool just for the upside of being there for one of the great victories in history. And I'm going to say John Rahm, the forgotten man, is your top point scorer. Do you guys remember John Rahm? It's really good. It's really good.
Allegedly.
Fad.
I will have to take my Team USA. Let's call it 15.5, 12.5, a little tighter, which will be fun. I'm going to go top point scorer. I'm going to go off the board a touch. Let's go with, I like Russ Henley. Let's go Russ Henley.
I hope so. I hope Russ has a great week.
Yeah.
Always rooting for Russ. Guys, this was an absolute delight.
Got me really pumped. Yeah.
Anything else? Anything else we need to cover?
Does the cat show up?
No.
The cat does not show up.
I don't think so. Is he?
What do you think, Deej?
God, that never even crossed my mind.
I mean, that's the most obvious ploy that the U.S. is going to.
The great man cat.
Yeah.
Did they just roll out a cat banner down the put his Ryder Cup record there?
13
Cat and Charlie are out there.
I'll say yes. TC, yeah. I hadn't even thought about it until 11 seconds ago, but yeah, I think he's out there. He's out of the first tee, just yucking it up. Randy,
Can he walk right now?
He was hitting balls the other day. I thought I.
Oh, okay.
Heard, right?
I haven't been on top of my cat stuff. Yeah, Cody, I don't know. I don't have anything. Who's Kane Brown? He was the other guy from the celebrity thing. I'm like,
Okay.
I have no idea
Anyway,
who that is.
Deej, I like the game you got going. So in this here comment section, not the live chat right now, but below the video, it'll stay up and everybody can see it. I'm gonna whoever's closest to winning score. So pick the score, and then top point score. I'll come back at the end of the week and pull a couple names that are winners or are closest, and I'll get you hooked up with something. So fill up that chat. I'm excited for our final live show week of the year, guys. This, of course, here on the NLU podcast channel. The rest of the week, we're over on the main channel. So Thursday, even though opening ceremony is happening tomorrow now, we're still waiting. Join the captains on Thursday afternoon. We'll be live for happy hour right afterwards, and then live each night afterwards. Pumped. High noon, live from the Kill House. Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Cannot wait. We also have a haiku contest going on in the newsletter. This is a very exciting one from the twisted minds of Neil and Casey and Jordan, dialing up some good stuff there. That's going through Wednesday. They're saying 11:59 p.m. Eastern time, to be specific. NLU newsletters calling for your best USA versus Europe team golf themed haikus for a chance to win some cool prizes from Club Glove, Titleist, and FootJoy. Check that out on the newsletter as well. But
I'm going to get ahead of this now. Nicholas, Sean, you guys are doing it wrong. You got to hit it in the comment section below.
Comment section, not the live chat.
Drop it and let us know in the comments below.
And throw us a thumbs up when you're down there.
I feel like any Benny Booms related haikus will be looked upon favorably.
Play to the audience, that's for sure. Guys, this ruled. Great to chop it up. I cannot wait for this week, and we got a lot more to come. Pace yourselves.
Cody, let's have a week.
It's
Yeah.
gonna be fantastic. I
Cody,
cannot
who are you picking?
US is gonna win. It'll be close, but it's the home. That's what they're expected to do. So I would love to see Team Europe come and shake things up, but I just I think that's a little mountain too tall, TC. I'm sorry. And kind of shame you didn't whip the votes. Like you were clearly caught off guard by Randy earlier. Had a good chuckle.
I wasn't
Wearing the
expecting that
salmon.
prisoner exchange there.
I thought he was
It
honoring
tough.
the 87 team.
What do you mean the unions aren't voting for us? Anyway, guys, pumped. Gonna be a good week. Safe travels, Solly.
Thanks
Cheers,
everyone for
guys.
tuning in. Crack on.